Hi folks, got another video for you. This time the Wall of Shields vlog. I haven't done an update on this in a long time. And what I'll probably do is post a series of videos on my various projects, periods I do, genres I play, regarding miniatures wargaming. I don't have many. I try to focus my efforts on specific eras so that I can make better use of my time and resources, really. But I thought I'd start off with the Wall of Shields, a vlog I started up a long time ago, which was all about my Ancients gaming hobby. And so here we are. This is pretty much some of my stuff that I've been reading, that I've been collecting, that I'm making use of, and kind of show you where I'm at in my Ancients hobby. Now, I think I've taken about a couple of years off recently from doing any Ancients whatsoever. If you guys remember, I was a big fan of L'Art de la Guerre and doing all kinds of stuff with that. Posted some battle reports and other things here on the channel, the Dash of Elan, and it was quite fun, quite enjoyable. But it wasn't until I came to DBMM, an old friend of mine, DBM. This is where I really got started, actually, DBA and Armati. But that led me to DBM, and that was my favorite Ancients rules ever, and it still remains in high regard for me. And I finally took a look at DBMM, which is basically the new iteration of DBM. This is version 2.1, hardback set of rules. I just got this a couple of years ago. I think it's 2016 is the latest version that I have anyway. And I bought some army lists for it to help me along the way with my collecting. And this is Book 2, which is 500 BC to 476 AD. This is the classical era. Your Greeks, Republican Romans, and all that good stuff. All the army lists and historical background you need to collect and play games with DBMM. Classic format we'd expect from Phil Barker. And yeah, here it is. And like I said before earlier, I tried a lot of different rules. I was never satisfied for various reasons. A lot of it has to do with the way Romans and their the multi-line system they used in their battles was represented. And I was never happy with the way they were represented in the games. But I eventually came back to DBMM for various reasons, and that's one of them. Not that this has any special rules to reflect Roman military tactics in the battlefield, but something about this that always attracted me. I don't know what it is. I think it's the fact that I don't know of any other set of rules that allows you to play a naval, a siege, and a land engagement all at once on the tabletop. Not without rules adjustments and special rules additions. This lets you do all that, and that's a big pull for me. So yeah, this is one of the reasons I've come back to this, and for at least a year plus, I've decided to commit myself to this set of rules and focus on just this. For all my major gaming and battles, this is where I'm going, DBMM. I know I've mentioned this in various videos and paint and chats before, but I never really updated my hobby where I set regarding rules for you guys, and so that's where I'm at. I mean, I still enjoy L'Art de la Guerre and even DBA. And even Field of Glory 3rd Edition. Great games in their own right, but they never really clicked for me in the long term. I'll probably still play those games here and there, but as far as collecting, painting, and putting my focus in anything in particular, rules-wise, this is the route I am taking. And folks, I'm pretty much stuck on this, but you never know. Times change things, and change is sometimes inevitable. But this is where I'm set in regarding rules. And I'm also fascinated with just about all aspects of Ancients battles, including sieges and naval actions. And I do have a set of rules for that. I'm going to show you in a second that I've been quite fond of since the 90s, and I still have it. I've tinkered around with it, and I intend to make full use of it for full-on naval gaming. And I'll show you that in a second. We do actually have this. This is the Osprey Blue Book rules. Poseidon's Warriors, a very simple game system. It's not a complex game. This is a good introduction to naval wargaming with miniatures. Not my main focus. I've never played it, gave it a good read. Never actually did a review of it either. Maybe I'll do that. But there is this. I did buy this when it first came out, and it's a nice reference for me. And who knows, I might play some games of this as well. So yeah, there is this regarding naval battles. So we'll see where I go with that. As a matter of fact, let's pull out that set of rules I was talking about. Numantia, my Greek friend over there in Athens, gave me the correct pronunciation. I'm probably still pronouncing it wrong. But yeah, that's the name of this set of rules. Rob Langton is the author, Langton Miniatures. This came out a long time ago, and I got this in a hobby shop local to me back in I think it was the 90s. And I've had it ever since. I read it up a multitude of times. Never actually played it, but I decided a long time ago that, this is the style of wargaming for ancient naval games that's right up my alley. As you can see, all that rich detail that I love so much. Fleet lists, all that good stuff. So my goal with this, regarding ancients, is pretty much to make my own ships. I've always been a big fan of making, out of card and various other little tidbits, my own ships. That way I could pick my own scale and so on and so forth. And I'd like to do that. But this is another part of my ancients hobby that I hope to investigate soon. Might buy some models as well. It depends on what scale I opt for, but ideally I want to make my own models for my battles. Something a little bigger than 1/1200 scale. I like a bigger ship, one that's like 2 or 3 inches on the tabletop. That would be awesome. This is a pretty beefy set of rules, actually. It's about 100 pages, 123 I see right there. So there's quite a few pages in this. It's got all this detail about how to move your squadrons of ships, tasks, fires. That's always a big danger. The ability chart. Hang on, look at this. And some of you guys probably heard of this set of rules. I think you can still buy it. Langton Miniatures website. I recommend it. It's a very enjoyable game, even though I've yet to play it. But I read it so many times. This is right up my alley. So as far as naval gaming in the Ancients period, that's what I'm looking at using alongside DBMM for my land and combination battles. In addition, on top of this, I've been very inspired by the set of rules, and I talked about this on my channel as well. It's called Clash of Spears. It's basically a skirmish game with units, a tactical skirmish game, we'll call it, for the Ancients period. Ideal for 28mm figures, can be used with smaller as well if you so choose, but it's ideal for those beautiful Victrix figures that have been so eye-popping and mouth-watering for myself. I just needed a reason to collect them. Many of you guys know I stick with 15mm for my Ancients gaming, and I still stick with 15mm. But Clash of Spears has given me an excuse to actually go out and collect some of these fantastic models by Victrix, Warlord Games, and so on, and start amassing some forces for skirmish gaming. The rules allow you to play with maybe 50-plus sized forces, so a good 100 figure army in that game will give you a lot of diversity in your forces. So yeah, I'm looking at that. I think the rules come out in November, sometime late this year, and I'll definitely post more on it when it comes out. Otherwise, look on the channel, my playlists, folks. I did do a kind of a overview, my thoughts on the game system. I have play tested it. I do a play test version and played it up quite a bit. Very enjoyable game. It's a very tight system. It's usable in tournaments as well as campaigns and straight one-off battles. Lots of scenarios, lots of lists that make sense. Your forces make sense. They're not just a hodgepodge of whatever you want. You throw them at each other with no rhyme or reason. Although you could do that as well. They try and make sense of your forces. And that's important to me when it comes to skirmish gaming, particularly with this era. So regarding that aspect, skirmish gaming, I intend to use those rules. And hopefully before the end of this year, you're going to see some videos on my various projects in 28mm using Victrix, Warlord Games. I know Warlord Games just released their SPQR game, which looks okay. It looks fun, but I like a little more depth in my games. But that said, the figures they're releasing for that game, Warlord Games, look fantastic, and they're ideal for me. What I really hope they do is come out with some Persians for the early classical Greek-Persian wars. Greco-Persian wars are one of the eras I want to wargame. With that scale anyway, as well as some Caesarian Roman era with Caesar and Pompey and the wars in Spain, Gaul, all that I'd like to do as well during that era. But also the Punic Wars era, First and Second Punic Wars would be great to do for skirmish gaming. That said, I'd probably also want to do that with my bigger battles as well, but we'll see. My focus with DBMM is mainly my Republican Romans and my Gauls. I'm anticipating adding some Carthaginians to the mix. I already have Seleucids as well. I don't have many armies. I've really sold off quite a few, especially my feudal era armies. Some of them you can see up there. Some of my Romans. Looks like some of them are facing the wrong way. Shameful. But anyway, folks, maybe I'll make a video showing off my various collections. They're not huge. I would say in l'art de la guerre terms, they're about 200 AP in size, a little bit bigger. One of the advantages of DBM, and another reason I enjoy it so much, and well, one of the reasons is that you can play this set of rules not only for huge battles on a 6x4 table in 15 mil, but you can also play DBA-sized games, as well as double DBA-sized games, like typically like what you'd see with l'art de la guerre. They allow you to play with 100 AP armies. That's about a little bit bigger than a DBA army. Well, DBMM does the same thing, and it's called DBMM 100. In other words, 100 points worth of troops. That equates to about a DBA-sized army, maybe a little bigger. And you use the full army lists to do your forces, similar table size. And this also allows you to play with 200-point armies, and they call that DBMM 200. And that allows you to play with, it's basically double DBA armies, or the equivalent of the standard 200 AP armies in l'art de la guerre. It's about the same thing, DBMM 200. So this set of rules does allow you to start playing with small forces and work your way up to big battles if you so choose. And I like that. There's more depth to this than DBA. I know I was a big fan of DBA at one point, and I enjoyed it. And I still would love to play a game, but there's more depth in this, and this is what I like. I mean, I got to have ships on the tabletop. I got to have some naval landings, at least as an option in my battles. I like that. And that's why I've moved on to DBMM. So, yeah, folks, there's some other great books. If you don't have, you should grab. I've been reading these up quite a bit. This is The Classical World by John Worry. An encyclopedia, really. And this one, Peter Conley. I love this author. He's one of my favorites and one of the main sources of information for me when regarding the ancients period, particularly the Romans. I've been reading this off and on as well, and hope to do some more reading, especially about the classical Greek era, which is something I don't have armies for yet in 15 mil. But with my skirmish project coming up later this year, I intend to rectify that. So I guess that's it. Some more reading I've got here. Caesar Against the Celts. Read this a long time ago. It's a really good book. Kind of thin in the maps department. It's mostly reading. But it is a useful book. Nice bibliography always comes in handy. So on and so forth. This is all about Caesar's, Caesar Against the Celts. That explains it all. And one of my Osprey books, I have tons of these Osprey books for the Ancients era, among other periods, that I've collected since the very beginning, back in the 90s. I've been collecting these, so I do have those. But anyway, folks, that is my update regarding my Ancients project, Wall of Shields, and I hope to post more soon on this. in the coming months. Hopefully, you'll see me do some 28 mil with Clash of Spears, maybe some SPQR. I mean, it's a great value for the money, that boxed set for SPQR with the rules and all that stuff, the miniatures. I think it's like $60 USD. I'm mostly interested in the miniatures more than actually the rules, though. So, folks, this is my project. This is my update on the Wall of Shields, what I'm currently doing, and what you can look forward to in the coming months. Hopefully, like I said, by the end of this year, I will be breaking out the 28 mils and doing some skirmish gaming with Clash of Spears, maybe a little SPQR in there. We'll see. I'm going to be focused mostly on the Caesarian armies, Caesar, as well as the classical Greek Greco-Persian wars. And for my 15 mil, this is a project I've been working on for years. I'll show off my armies, my Polybian Romans and my Gaul army, my Seleucids as well. I'll show you some of them, and I hope to get some smaller battles in of DBMM 100 and DBMM 200 as well. So hopefully showcase the DBMM games. Highly recommend these rules, folks. Maybe I'll make a video on DBMM if you guys would like to see that. I'll go into more detail about it. But that's my rules of choice, my naval rules, the monkey off. And correct me, Nick, if I got that wrong. I'm sure you will. But there we go, folks. Stay tuned. There'll be lots more on my upcoming projects and hobbies. This is the Wall of Shields. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Hang in there, folks. It's only going to get better. Take care.